The clock on the wall still showed 8:17. Not ticking, not broken, just suspended, as if time itself had paused to watch him. Daniel sat on the edge of the bed. Eric stood in the doorway, unsure whether to step inside or back away. Downstairs, a man coughs, a deep, tired sound. Daniel's father, James Sheppard, shifting in his sleep in the parents' bedroom.
Daniel, that wasn't normal. None of this is normal. I know, and it's getting worse.
Eric stepped into the room. For the first time, he saw something in Daniel's face that wasn't just fear. It was pull, as if something unseen had reached out and touched him.
What did you feel when everything stopped? Like something was pulling me, like I was supposed to go somewhere, but I don't know where.
Downstairs, Amanda moved quietly in the kitchen, preparing tea. James remained asleep, unaware that Daniel had come home, and unaware that he was leaving again. Eric didn't argue. Not anymore. Amanda stood by the stove. The kettle had stopped boiling, but she hadn't poured the water. She stared into it, as if waiting for an answer she feared. Daniel and Eric entered quietly. From the bedroom came the faint sound of James talking in his sleep, something about banners and getting the lads organized.
Daniel, you should be asleep.
We need to talk.
Amanda turned slowly. She looked tired in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. A cough from the bedroom, then James's voice, half awake, half dreaming.
If that's Daniel, tell him I'll be up early. Big day tomorrow. The club needs me sharp.
James didn't wait for an answer. He never did, and within seconds he drifted back into sleep. Amanda closed her eyes, just for a moment, as if the weight of two worlds pressed against her chest.
Daniel saw something, and I saw something too.
Amanda opened her eyes. She didn't look toward the bedroom. She didn't need to. James was already gone again, lost in dreams of matches, banners, and debates.
You have to stop digging into this, boys.
It's already too late.
Amanda's eyes flicked, and for a single moment, Daniel saw something in her he had never seen before. Fear. They left the house behind, drove in silence. Neither wanted to speak about 8:17. When they stepped into Daniel's apartment, the air felt different, thicker, as if the room itself had been waiting. Daniel walked a few steps in, stopped.
It's here again.
The lights flickered, not randomly, but rhythmically, like a heartbeat. Then the room split. Two versions of the same space, layered like thin sheets of glass.
No, not again.
In one version stood Ron, perfectly still, as if waiting for a signal. In the other, a silhouette of Amanda. Not the Amanda he knew, something larger, something struggling to hold its shape. Two voices overlapped, coming from different directions in time. First, a voice encouraging and comforting. Don't be afraid. Then another voice, demanding. Choose.
Choose what? Who's talking to me?
And then, silence. The room snapped back into one piece. Eric insisted they go to his place. Daniel looked like he might collapse. It wasn't more than a couple of miles, but Eric drove them there in his car. Daniel silent the whole way, staring out the window as if expecting the world to shift again. They sat on the couch. The quiet felt heavy.
There were 2 versions of the room, and someone told me to choose. I saw something too. One of the figures, just for a second.
Daniel looked up. For the first time, he wasn't alone in this.
So you believe me now? I believe something's happening, and I'm not letting you go through it alone.
Amanda stood alone on an empty parking lot. She had driven here without thinking, as if her body knew where to go before she did. Ron stood 20 meters away, perfectly still, as if he had always been there.
You're too early.
You don't decide that.
He's not ready.
The board has waited long enough. The fracture is opening. You can't stop it.
I can delay it.
Ron smiled, a smile without warmth. Not anymore. Daniel had returned to his apartment. He said he needed to be alone. Eric followed anyway, not inside, but waiting just outside the building, leaning against the railing, watching Daniel's window from below. He didn't know what to do, but couldn't leave Daniel alone now. Inside, Daniel sat at his computer. The screen flickered, as if something was trying to break through. In the Messenger app, from an unknown sender, a text message appeared. We see you.
No.
Who are you? Daniel pushed back from the desk, stumbling toward the window. Outside, the figures stood in a perfect formation, all facing him, unmoving, expectant. Daniel's breath caught. His panic broke through whatever held him still. He bolted for the door, down the stairs, out into the cold night air. Eric straightened the moment he heard the footsteps. Daniel burst out of the building, barely aware of where he was running. Eric caught him halfway down the sidewalk.
Daniel, hey, what happened? Who is that man?
Daniel turned. Ron stood farther down the street, perfectly still, like a statue placed there on purpose.
It's him. He's the one I've seen in every photo. This isn't just your problem anymore.
Behind them, the figures remained in formation, silent, watching. Amanda sat on the floor of the dimly lit living room, hands in her hair, breathing too fast, whispering to herself. From the bedroom, James snored, deep, rhythmic, unbothered. He had gone to bed early, muttering about early start, big match, banners need painting. He was oblivious to everything happening with Daniel or Amanda, blissfully unaware of their unraveling world, his mind occupied only with the important match tomorrow. Amanda pressed her palms against her temples.
They're pulling him in. I can feel it. I just need to keep him here a little longer. Just a little longer.
But she knew the truth. Ron had moved too soon. The fracture was opening, and she was running out of time. She looked toward the dark hallway, toward James's steady snoring, and for a moment she wished she could wake him, tell him everything, ask for help. But she didn't. She couldn't. She was alone in this, and Daniel was slipping away. Daniel stood frozen on the sidewalk, Eric beside him, Ron farther down the street, still, silent, watching. Behind them, the figures remained in formation, unmoving, patient, aligned toward him. The night felt stretched thin, as if the air itself were waiting. Daniel took a step back, then another.
I can't go back in there. Then don't. Stay here. Stay with me.
But Daniel wasn't listening. Something behind him, behind all of them, began to vibrate. A low hum, barely audible, but felt in the bones. Daniel turned. The air beside the building split open, a vertical fracture, thin as a blade of light. The symbol pulsed within it, alive, calling. Daniel stepped toward it, as if pulled by a thread tied around his ribs.
Daniel, stop!
Daniel didn't stop. He couldn't. The fracture widened, light spilling onto the pavement. Ron didn't move. He didn't need to. Daniel raised a hand toward the light.
What's happening to me?
The fracture pulsed again, as if waiting for him, as if answering. And the night held its breath.